Hello again, it's me, the guy with the YouTube channel. Today, we are on the second last G-Fest 22 review. So, without further ado, I present to you the Bandai 1999 Gamera Memorial Box Jiger. Before we get on to the detail, here is her tag. I am referring to it as a her, not a he. That's just my preference, but you can call her whatever you want. The front, or I guess technically this is the back, because, there we go, focusing as well today. And you can see you got the poster. Oh, technically this is the back because the black and white side is facing outward, but whatever. You got the poster for the movie Dai, and, Dai something something, and this orange text right there. But we also got the title for the movie, Gamera Daikaiju Jiger. And like I said there, that character is Dai. I don't know. That's what that means, Dai. I don't know what the rest of this katakana means. Made in China. And on the back, we have a different picture of Jiger rather than just a close-up with a poster like the other tags, because she's upside down. And she is 80 meters long, I think. 200 something, and again we have Dai, and she's number 9, even though there aren't even 9 figures in the box set. If you want to know why she is number 9, check out this guy's review, Memorial Box Gamera's review. But basically, she's number 9 in the entire wave of 1999 Gamera figures. But yeah. So now that the tag is out of the way, on to detail, and detail on this figure is very nice. As you can see, there's all kinds of, it's pretty simple, but that's how she looked in the movie, so it really captures the simplicity of this kaiju. You can see you got her feet there, very nicely done, all of her toes, very wrinkly looking at these weird sucker looking things. I don't think they're suction cups or tail. You know, it would have been cool if it was just kind of curled to the side, but no, it's just straight. And then you can see there's all kinds of really nice detail. Her sail, Spinosaurus, fin thing, should be a lighter red looking at the picture on the tag, but she's a fairly blandly colored kaiju. I can see why they would up the color of that a little bit. See, just all kinds of nice little detail, and there's not really a whole lot to say, just because you can really just look at one spot and then just imagine what the rest of the figure looks like and be pretty close. They got a little fin on the back of her front legs. See her head. There's some nice detail there. Eyes. The pupils aren't actually sculpted, like what Bandai does sometimes with figures. They sculpt it so that way they can be painted evenly, but no, they're just painted on. Same thing with the Gamera, and I think all the other figures in the set. That's pretty interesting. And her horns, and her horn and tusks, both sides are painted, whereas with Gamera, the front is painted, but you turn around, and the back is just blue. So that's really cool that they painted both sides, and every single one of her teeth is individually sculpted. And they're not painted particularly well. It might not show up very well on camera, but every single tooth is individually sculpted. That's amazing. And it's not even like there's a little bit of vinyl in between them. No, every single one is individual. That is really nice attention to detail. But they could have been painted a little better. They are a little sloppy, especially this one right here. Might not really look like it on camera, but believe me, it is. And inside her mouth, I'm not really sure if you can see, but there is some nice detail too. You got the roof of her mouth there. There's actually a little indent in the back of her mouth to imply it's her throat. Her tongue, pretty nice. Could have been painted, but I'd have to go back and watch the movie. It's been a while since I've watched Gamera vs. Giant Monster Jiger. But you see, you got all this nice detail. Her mouth looks like an individual flap. Looks disconnected like in the movie. Really cheap. Well, not saying that the figure's cheap, it's a nice figure. I'm just saying that the suit was kind of cheap. And you can see all nice detail on underside. It's a lighter color. It's the actual color of the vinyl. And even on the bottom of her feet, too, which is really nice. You got all the suckers and everything, or whatever those are, vacuum holes, copyright. Yeah, just the detail on this figure is really good. Might not really sound like I'm that enthusiastic, but yeah. And this figure isn't even wasn't even originally sculpted in 1999. It's actually older than that. This is actually a retool of a larger 8-inch mold from 1991. So this isn't even as old as it says it is, and it's really good detail. So that just goes to show how well of a figure this is, well made of a figure it is. And for articulation, her hind legs can rotate to about there. They could probably go 360, but those would grind up against the vinyl, and both can. Her front legs can move forward and back, about that far back, that much forward. And also her head can move, but it's really stiff, so I don't really recommend doing that. And actually, one thing interesting about the figure, just a little thing to be aware of, I popped the head off just to see what it was like inside, and there was mold growing in the figure, so be careful when you're buying these figures. Just make sure they haven't been exposed to any moisture. And one more thing to point out while we're on the subject of legs, I'm not really sure if you can see this, but one leg is longer than the other. That of what I've seen, that appears to be a thing with all Gamera Memorial Box figures. Like, here, let me pull out Gamera. You can kind of see there, this leg is longer than this leg. I mean, it doesn't affect how they stand. The figures stand fine. Like, both figures I have here, the only two Membox Gamera figures I have, both stand perfectly level. I mean, they're not like standing on an angle or anything, so I don't know, I think and like, see here, this leg is, the longer leg is more forward than the shorter leg, so, well, just a little more, but, yeah, I mean, Gamera's legs, it's not as bad as it is with Jiger, and she still stands fine. She stands on a little bit of a slant, but not really. So that's just an interesting little thing. I've also seen Gauss has that problem. I'm not really sure if all the figures have that, but it's just an interesting little thing. But, you know, like I said, it doesn't affect the way the figures stand. They still stand perfectly level on the ground like any other figure with normal legs, but I don't really know how that completely works, but you just figure it out yourself, Chungo. Anyways, while we're on the subject of legs and standing, on to sizing. Here she is with Gamera 1965, the only other Memorial Box figure I have from the Gamera set. And she's a little low to the ground, but I would say this is a pretty good sizing. Looking at the picture on the tag, Jiger might need to be a little bit bigger, so if you want a little bit more size accuracy, maybe go with the 7-inch version from 1991, but you know, overall, if we were to put Gamera on her back like in the movie, I think Gamera was the other way around, but I would say Gamera on his back, on Jiger's feet. I don't know what I just said there, but yeah, so this, I don't know why I randomly pulled Gamera off screen. I nearly called him Jiger. Yeah, I'm a little rushing with this review because, you know, like I said, reviews. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. Yeah, sizing, it's good. Looks good. Can't really say a whole lot about it. For the next figure, just a Showa Godzilla, you know, just for Showa-ness, because Showa, fuck yeah. And, yeah, this is Godzilla 1975 Memorial Box version. I would say this is a good sizing. There you go, just more comparison. Here's SH Monster Arts Gamera, just because I seem to pull this figure out in every Gamera-related review, so why not continue with this? I don't know why, this is probably very inaccurate. Actually, 8-inch Gamera 1995 would probably size up pretty good with this figure. I think that figure's about as tall as Jiger is long, and she's 80 meters long. And finally, the standard figures, excluding Ultraman Powered and repainted Bandai Creation Final Wars Rodan. Rodan will no longer be appearing in any reviews, and Ultraman Powered will for now on only appear in Ultraman-related reviews. Anyways, here's NECA 6-inch Godzilla 2014. Yeah, this is probably very inaccurate, but I'm just pulling him out to show you how big this figure is with a standard figure that a lot of people have. And here's a standard NECA Pacific Rim Kaiju in the form of Axe Head, and yeah, he dwarfs her, as usual. And finally, a standard SH Monster Arts figure, Godzilla 1995 Rebirth version. Again, this is probably very inaccurate, but yeah, just to show you how big she looks when you compare her to something like this, which a lot of people would have. And finally, on to history of the figure and pricing. This figure was technically originally released in 1991, but that one is a remold. Well, this is a remold, but the original release was in 1991. It was bigger than this, because I think that figure was around 7 or 8 inch scale, and had a lighter paint job. I think it was darker. The paint job looked different. It's easy to tell. And then it was reissued in 1990, well, retooled to be smaller, and then issued in the Gamera Memorial Box in 1999, and it's never been reissued since. This Gamera is the only figure to get reissued from the Gamera Memorial Box, so, yeah, and for pricing, you know, most of the Gamera Memorial Box figures, excluding, I think, Jiger, Giron, and maybe Gauss, are usually all the same price. Anywhere they can range anywhere from $30 to about $50, maybe more. Really depends on if they have the tag or not and what condition the figure is in. So yeah, I paid $20 for this at G-Fest. Although her tag is has some weird spots. I think this figure may have been exposed to a lot of moisture, which explains why she had mold growing in her head. So yeah. And for rating, I'm gonna give her a 9.5 out of 10. Why not a perfect 10 out of 10? Just because she's kind of a simple looking kaiju. I mean, it's nothing on Bandai's fault. This is a great figure. It's just that, well, it's just that the overall design of Jiger is not really anything that special. So yeah, that's it for this review. 9.5 out of 10. Shimama Jamo, I keep saying that. I don't know how to end videos.